We'll continue our media availability. Joining us now is Austin Dillon, driver of the number 14, Mobile One Bass Pro Shop Chevrolet, and Greg Zippadelli, competition director for Stewart Haas Racing. Austin, talk a little bit about this opportunity provided here today and how you feel hearing the sound of that, driver of the number 14 Mobile One Bass Pro Shop Chevrolet.
Well, it's pretty exciting. We all know who drives it on a regular basis, and he's one of my heroes, and that's Tony Stewart. So I'm super excited to be representing their sponsors with Mobile One and Bass Pro Shops, and just looking forward to this whole weekend. You know, we had a good test yesterday with our nationwide car, and I'm really excited to be working with Steve Addington and Greg, and hopefully putting together a great run for both of our teams this weekend.
Greg, talk a little bit about an update from Stewart Haas Racing and being here with Austin this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, we're like we said last week, we're taking 1 week at a time and trying to do the best we can. Austin had run here before, ran here in the spring, did a good job. He was willing to come here today and give us 100% because they had the test day yesterday, which kind of really made the difference as far as making this work for us. So, with that being said, we're certainly excited about getting on the racetrack, getting all this stuff kind of behind us, and doing the best we can this weekend.
Okay, we'll just open up for questions. We'll start in the back with Wolfgang, then come up to Dean.
Wolfgang Monser from German Ranchport Press Agency. Question to Mr. Greg Zippadelli. As long as Tony Stewart is not able to race, would you not think to get a stable situation in your team to just employ one driver instead of going with a new driver every other race? You had Max Papis, now you have Austin.
Yeah, I mean, there's pros and cons to it. We are certainly looking at trying to probably in the next 3 to 4 days, before we get to Bristol, everything will be ironed out for the rest of the year. We've had a few hurdles that we've had to get through, so we are looking at that. We're working on that. It'll be 2 drivers probably the rest of the year, just to do exactly what you said, was just try and get them guys to build some chemistry and get the best finishes we can. We're still 11th in owners points. That's a big deal, and we can look at that, and that's kind of what we're focused on right now. So we are working on that. It's just too early to talk about.
Take our next question from Dean, then go to Mike and Bob.
Dean McNulty, Toronto Sun. A question for both of you. Are there any restrictions coming from RCR about their setups? You talking to Greg about setup, or Greg, is there any restrictions that you will not be talking to him about?
We did touch on that. It's very important that we both respect our boundaries from team to team. Obviously, they're racing for a championship. We've got the 39. We're trying to get in the chase to race for a championship. We got the 14 that like I said, we're trying to keep as high as we can in owners points. So we've kind of we're just going to talk about what he feels in that car and what he needs. We won't talk about particulars of what we're changing, and we're not going to really ask him to divulge things that they did here in the spring. If he's got a suggestion that feels like I want track bar up or down or wedge in or out, then I mean by all means he'll communicate that with Steve. But we've got to be very respectful of our partners at Hendrick Motorsports and things. So I've talked with Hendrick Motorsports. I've talked with Richard Childress about it. We've all agreed that Austin will just get in and give tight, loose, and drive the hell out of it.
Okay, guys, we're going to get to as many questions as we can, and I'm going to get to them in the order that your hands were raised. We'll go Mike, Bob, Marty, David. Go ahead, Mike.
Mike Hember, USA Today. Greg, are you kind of working under the assumption that Tony is going to be out the rest of the year, or is he thinking he might try to get back in late in the season? How's that going?
We don't know that yet. I'm working under the, assumption that he's out for the next month or so or longer. He went to the doctors this week. He had a decent visit, no setbacks. Basically, very simple instructions. Stay in this bed with your leg up over your heart for the next 7 days and come back and see me. We'll reevaluate you and tell you what you can do. So that's what he's doing. I saw him Wednesday night. We spent some time together, spent a couple hours together yesterday, just kind of filling him in on all the things that we've got going on. He's in great spirits. They changed some of his medicines and things of that nature. So he's going through a little bit of a transition period. But like I said, doctor's appointment went well, or as good as it can. And he said next 7 to 14 days will tell a lot of how it heals, how those things take, we'll certainly continue to update you guys as we can. It's going to be a really slow process.
Okay, we'll go Bob, Marty, David, Stan.
Bob Packer, Sporting News. Greg, is Austin one of the two that you're looking at for more races going forward?
Yeah, obviously, Austin's done a great job in the Truck Series and Nationwide Series. He's got a long-standing relationship with Johnny Morrison Bass Pro Shop. So we are talking about more races. We don't have anything concreted yet. We are, looking at that other option and just seeing how many races that they can do. But it looks like one more race at least for Austin through the rest of the year with us.
Okay, we'll go Marty, David.
Marty Smith, ESPN. I actually have a question for both of you. First, Greg, why was Austin the right choice this weekend? And Austin, how would you define a successful weekend? What is success for you this weekend in the 14?
From our side, like I mentioned earlier, he just ran here and did a great job in the spring race. Runs well here in the Nationwide. He's done some testing in these cars, so it was, we could have found a guy in the Truck Series or something like that doesn't have a ton of time in these race cars, which I felt was, not that they wouldn't do a good job, but I think these cars are a little bit different. The biggest thing is he did a good job here in the spring. We looked at that. The association with Bass Pro Shop, both sponsors were on board. That's a big priority to us, that our partners are on board of everything we do. Obviously we've let them down with Tony not being in the car the rest of the year, and we need to do the best we can to represent them, and they're a big part of our decisions.
Okay, we'll go David, Stan, Woody, Jeff.
David Caravella, NASCAR.com. Greg, when you visit with Tony, is he up and around? Is he champing at the bit to get out of the house? How active can he be? What's his mindset like mentally and all that kind of stuff now?
No, his mindset's pretty good. He's in a lot of pain at times. He was in a wheelchair yesterday when we had our meeting with 3-4 of us over there for a couple hours yesterday, kind of going over things at the shop and what we were doing moving forward. But for the most part, like I said, he's supposed to be in bed for the next 7 days with his foot up above his heart, I guess is what the doctor said. So needs to be elevated, just to keep the swelling and things of that nature down.
Okay, let's go ahead, Stan.
Stan Creekmore with RPM.com tonight. Greg, sorry, no question for you. Austin, I have a question for you, sir. You did pretty well in practice yesterday, and you told one of the reporters I actually have at Mid-Ohio that you hope to get a 10th place finish on Saturday. How do you go from last to 10th, and what does all that mean to what you do here on Sunday?
Yeah, top 10. I want to be able to win, hopefully, Saturday. But from 43rd to first is something that it's tough to do. But I feel like with all the strategy and things that are going to play out during that race, I think it's going to be a pretty wild race going to the inaugural race for Mid-Ohio. And there's some I was telling Greg on the way over here, there's some blind corners and some elevation changes and some really slow corners where people are going to make up ground and mistakes are going to be made. So, and my goal always is to finish laps in these races, and that'll always bring positions to you. And that answers Marty's question earlier about our goal for this weekend in the 14. And I've been able to be pretty successful at finishing a lot of laps in my career, and I think trying to put ourselves in a position at the end of the race to get a top 15 would be great, and we do that by being there at the end. So, and that's what I feel like we'll try and do in the nationwide race.
Okay, we'll go next question to Woody in the back, then up front to Jeff.
Woody Kane with Motor Racing Network. Austin, can you just describe the logistics that you're going to go through with the back and forth here over the next couple of days, and then maybe preview Bristol for us a little bit for next week?
Yeah, I think the logistics are actually not as bad as we all thought it was going to be, because the test at Mid-Ohio kind of solved that. I was able to be there all day yesterday. We flew in on Wednesday night. I was there yesterday full time, then came over here last night. Had a good night's rest, and then today I'll stay here and even be able to watch the truck race tonight with Ty in it, and stay the night and stay here for a little bit of practice in the morning, then helicopter to Mid-Ohio before the race Saturday.
Okay, Jeff, right up here.
Dave Garicki, Detroit News. Austin, can you talk a little bit how difficult it is to drive for multiple teams on the Cup side? And then a second question. I heard you played in the Little League World Series. There's a team from Grosse Pointe that's playing in there today. What do you remember about that?
Yeah, driving for this is my third Cup team this year that we've run for, and it's pretty special. I think it's cool to be able to say I've driven for multiple different people, and the great thing about it is you learn a lot, learning with different guys and learning how things are supposed to be done and what it really takes to be a team leader. I think that's pretty important. And then as far as the Little League World Series, it was a great time in my life. I thought I was going to be a baseball player for the rest of my life, and I'm sitting in a media center for a NASCAR Cup race this weekend. So it was a very special time. I actually, it was a funny thing was I ran into a bunch of the players on my team this past weekend after our race, and I thought that was cool. And they're very supportive of my career, and I still have some of them come around to the races here and there. And it's a fun time of the year. I always love watching it. And I guess you said there's a team. I did see on ESPN that Michigan was playing California today. Is that the team? Yeah, it's special, man. It's always a good time for a bunch of 12-year-olds, and you get to miss a little school too.
Okay, we'll go Jeff, then Claire.
Jeff Gluck from USA Today. Zippy, obviously now maybe the shock has worn off with the organization. How is the team dealing with this? I mean, are you finding yourself having to lift some spirits? I mean, do people feel like the season's over? What's their mindset among the crew guys?
Everybody's been pretty good, honestly. We've been so busy trying to work through all these details and seats and seat brackets and all the things that have gone on the last 2 weeks that these guys haven't had time to stop and I don't think really reflect on what's going on in the year. Like I said, we're 11th in owners' points, and that's the message we keep driving to these guys that it's business as usual. There's no reason in the world we can't be in the top 10 and where we're at. And that's our goals, is to continue fighting as hard as we can, do the best we can to represent our sponsors, and keep the boss smiling at home that we did a good job with what we had to work with.
Okay, go ahead with your question, Claire.
Claire Relang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. I had said early on when you had your first news conference that this would be a true test to show what Tony built as an organization. Not so much just about the team guys, but yourself. Has it been really difficult? And what about the leadership and the structure and the organization? And then I want to ask Austin what he's seen so far of the organization.
Everybody's been great. We've all spent a lot of time together, probably more time than we have in the past. And I think maybe we've learned that we can do a better job of communicating and spending more time together. But everybody from Gene to on his side and his people and Tony and everybody in between has really spent some time together, talked about things, all have come to a common ground of what's best for Stewart Haas and moving forward. So, to be part of that, I'm proud of everybody for just not putting themselves forward and just looking at what do we need to do to do the best job we can for Stewart Haas. We've got the 39 car. We need to put as much resources as we can there. And obviously there's been distractions on my side and things of that nature, but Matt and those guys are doing a great job digging and moving forward, and that's priority right now.
And is Tony back to being feisty again?
Oh, he was pretty ornery Wednesday night when I left.
Austin, good luck this weekend. Zippy, thank you very much for your time today.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thanks, guys.